Yo, welcome back to SeaBed. Last time, fucking Takako shoveled snow, and then she like walked down a stairway or something. I don't know. I don't know. That's pretty much what happened last time. Okay. Right, and we left off right before a flashback memory. Okay. Let's go with this one. Classic. Okay, one second. My glasses are really dirty. Okay. Just look at it, Pachi. Don't you think it's great? I looked back over my shoulder while ascending the stairs. There's a small garden surrounded by 4 walls outside the window. It had some flower beds and a square hole in the middle that looked like a well. How do you even enter that? Sachiko asked. I think I can see doors in that wall. It looks quite tranquil. I like it. How many of the rooms are occupied? Most of them are, I think. There's a handicraft shop on the first floor, a tax accountant's office below us, and a law firm up above. We reached our destination. I opened the door and let Sachiko go inside. I followed her and closed the door behind me. What do you think? Sachiko carefully surveyed the room. We can put the employee desk here, and you can have a private desk there by the window, since you're the boss and everything. Sachiko walked to the window and looked outside. It's too bright here. Too much reflection to read papers. And it feels kind of hot. Good thing it's not facing south at least, she added. You can put up blinds or something. I pointed at the left side of the room. Is this your new office or something? Or your new apartment? There's a kitchen over there so we could have coffee whenever we wanted. And this other room would be perfect for meeting clients. Okay, this is your new office. Let's go turn away from the window and peek inside the kitchen, and then continue to the meeting room. Oh, I see you can enter this room from the corridor too. There's a small entrance by the staircase leading here. I see. I saw another door at the end of the corridor. What was that? Just a storage room, I think. It's close to the station and has a parking lot. With the shopping street close by, we can even eat out for lunch. Oh yeah, and I found a cafe I think you'd like. What do you think? I'd say this is the best one out of all the ones we've checked today. How much is it? It's pretty cheap. I took a thick stack of documents out of my bag and I handed Sachiko one page from it. What do you think? Are you sure there hasn't been a murder in this building or something like that? It's just old. Well, I imagine all sorts of things must have happened here over the years, but does that really matter to us? That's a deal. If someone's like killed themselves in this building or whatever, you get a nice deal. Sachiko continued silently pacing back and forth between the empty rooms. She tried knocking on some of the walls, listening to the resulting echo. After checking the storage room, we looked around to see what kind of establishment occupied the other floors. It was in the middle of a weekday though, so everyone was busy working inside. If you want to learn more about the others, I have a file here. I think you can check your papers in that cafe you mentioned. That's a good idea. Is it the one you met Narasaki in? We went to the cafe. It sure is. Once there, we looked over the rest of the papers we had. Sachiko paid the most attention to the building's design, both exterior and interior, as well as its expenses. I was more worried about the ease of transport and the nearby stores. We looked over a couple of other places after that, but didn't find anything better. It wasn't perfect, but it met all our primary requirements. It was dark by the time we returned home. We had dinner downtown on our way back, so I went to take a bath right away. As I returned, I spotted Sachiko having a conversation on the phone in the living room. I sat down on the sofa and picked up the remote control. However, I saw Sachiko shaking her head from the corner of my eye. I placed the remote control back and instead picked up the travel pamphlet from the table. Eventually, Sachiko finished her phone call and came over to me. She looked at me, sitting in the middle of the 2-seater sofa. I returned her look and patted my knees. Her eyes narrowed. Feast her eyes upon the ultra-deluxe Takako sofa. Sachiko finally gave up and sat down in between my legs. Very lewd. What was that phone call about? It was the head of the sales department from our old place. He called to tell me about our retirement bonus. Will it include paid vacation time? It won't. Darn. And I worked so hard too. Thanks to that, we won't be running out of money anytime soon. But we got taxes next year, right? I wonder if it's gonna be okay. I've already calculated that. It's gonna be okay. Well, if you had worked a little harder, we'd have more leeway though. Hey now, any more in that engineering department would kill me. But the blame lies with sales, not engineering, right? Their manager accepted projects with no regard for the already packed schedules of the staff. Classic. That sucked too, but the worst part was how our manager decided we didn't need the weekends anymore, and made insane overtime a part of the daily routine on top of all that. Okay, that's insane. But you got paid, didn't you? It allowed us to advance with our plan ahead of schedule. It was just like she said, our goals were to go independent and travel around the world, and we managed to achieve both a few years earlier than a few years earlier than expected. With the future looking bright, our past ordeals felt like a pleasant memory. I added more strength to my embrace and hugged Sachiko tighter from behind. Have you decided where you want to go yet? Sachiko considered the pamphlet we got from the tourism agency. I thought about it, but I felt your suggestion about going to the sea somewhere far in the south sounds like the best option so far. It's summer over there right now, isn't it? I wanted to experience that at least once. Right? And speaking of new experiences, you can't fire guns or go skydiving in here, so there's that too. I looked through the pamphlet from behind. That doesn't sound too bad. We spent some time talking about travel, imagining skies and seas that we'd never be able to see from our native land. Sachiko turned on the TV after we finished. She flipped through a few channels until we were on the evening news. The announcer was talking about the economy or something. Looks like our economy's doing well. Uh-oh. Does she know? Yeah, that definitely sounds like it. Some businessmen were being interviewed on the screen right now. What kind of office do you want to run? Sachiko asked. A place where we can all talk about the future. It doesn't sound too bad, Sachiko said after a brief pause. I realized it was a dream as soon as I opened my eyes. I glanced at the clock in the dimly lit room. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. Maiko was sleeping next to me in silence. I was thinking with my eyes closed before falling asleep, so I wasn't sure how long I'd been out for, but I still felt kind of sleepy. It was too early to wake up. I closed my eyes again. The contents of my dream naturally flashed from my mind's eye again. I realized what I had lost after finishing reading the diary. The past me never worried about things like this. I was able to deal with everything a lot better than I could now. I knew that Sachiko had my back, even if I screwed up. It never felt like that big of a deal for me to leave my hometown. And it didn't bother me to give up on my job. Similarly, I didn't worry too much about the feasibility of us establishing our new office. I just drew what I wanted to, and Sachiko would color it for me. It was also easy. A lot of things became easy when you share them with someone you trust. I thought about Maiko, who was now on the other side of my eyelids. I had no words to express just how much happier my life would have been if Sachiko hadn't vanished from it. If only Maiko was Sachiko. If only. But I love Maiko for who she was too. If I was her, I wouldn't want someone to love me because I looked like someone else. You're not Sanae. It was either Maiko or Sachiko lying beside me, and there was no in-between. I considered if I had any tools to confirm it. I couldn't find anything, no matter how many times I read through the notebook. All I had was that image of Sachiko in the dark cave. I felt like that place held all the answers. I had to go to that room one more time. Just the thought of it made my blood run cold, and I had no guarantees I'd be able to make it back this time. Oh, okay. Okay, that was the entire chapter? The sea and the old anchored ship. I question, what was the point of that entire chapter? Let me just think about this. From the start to the end of the chapter. What even happened? Like, I feel like absolutely nothing happened in the entire chapter. Am I crazy? Whatever. I found a gravel roundabout outside the station. At its corner, there was a parking lot with a three-door car parked under a big tree with broad leaves. Okay, how did the car get here? Was the car I used before coming here? Yeah, how did it get here from the mansion? Assuming the car is even real. The moss green car's form reminded me of a Civic from the 60s or 70s, but its front was more curved than it should have been. It was an old thing I didn't even know the exact brand of, and could be held to control at times, but I appreciated it as a car that was mine and mine alone. After circling around the car to the driver's seat, I took the key from my jacket's pocket and unlocked the door so I could get inside. After confirming the position of the seat, I turned the ignition key. Feeling the vibration of the engine, I turned the wooden handle and stepped on the gas, proceeding to drive out of the rotary. The sunlight from the blue sky fell directly on my face as I changed directions. I grabbed a pair of sunglasses from the passenger compartment and put them on. I changed gears and flipped the radio switch a few times as I reached a wooden mountain path. I still couldn't hear anything through the rattling of the car, so I turned up the volume. I continued down the road along the sea after reaching the town at the foot of the mountain. The scenery slowly changed from suburbs with impressive western mansions to more urban restaurants and cafes as I drove closer to the center of the town. Finding a hotel sign, I parked the car at the nearby parking lot. I knocked on the booth by the parking lot and handed the keys to a middle-aged man watching a game of soccer inside. I spotted the park with a locomotive. I need Google, please. I hate when I know a word, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Like, I just... Locomotive. Locomotive. There you go. I spotted a park with a locomotive exhibit in the center as I left the parking lot. A bunch of children were playing on its roof. I glanced at the hotel sign one more time and continued down the shopping district through the park's southern exit. I passed by a loud pachinko parlor that reeked of tobacco smoke and turned the corner by a clothes store to find 3 cheap hotels lined up next to each other. From the signs in front of them, it seemed like they all cost about the same. I chose the one in the middle, seeing how it advertised its offering of hot springs, and passed through the automatic glass door to reach the counter. Moments after pushing the bell on the counter, a young man in a suit emerged from the door on the other side. Welcome. Welcome. I'd like to book a room for 2 nights. The man fiddled with the machine behind the counter. There are 2 empty piercing holes in this right here. We have available rooms at the 2nd and 4th floors. Is there a particular floor you would prefer? Either would be fine. Understood. Oh wait, do you have a room facing the mountains? The man shifted his gaze to the machine again. Yes, on the 4th floor. I'll take that one then. Understood. Would you prefer Eastern or Western food for dinner? I glanced at the clock on the wall and saw that it was around 7 o'clock. I'll eat out tonight. I took my wallet out and left all of my bags in the room before going to the shopping district. I continued down a road covered by a huge arched roof. Through some of its glass panels, I could see the grey sky looming above. The store in front of me had its shutters down. There was a picture painted on it. A child in a straw hat holding an insect net was running around in the green field. There was a yellow car behind him. There were all sorts of establishments around every corner, but most of them had notices posted on the entrance that stated they were closed for the holidays. I continued down the road, all the while inspecting the many closed shutters, and it reached the end of the shopping district after only a few minutes of walking. There was a brick wall there a bit further from where the arched roof ended. The breeze coming from the other side brought the scent of the sea to my nostrils. I looked around and entered a cafe at the edge of the shopping district. A lone old man with his white hair combed back from the forehead stood in the empty establishment. He wore a well-ironed white shirt and a black apron. What will you be ordering? The old man asked. While I was hesitating, he picked up a menu and handed it to me. You can choose from original, American, espresso, Viennese, and ice. Do you call ice Recco in these parts? Okay, this is some Japanese shit. The younger generation no longer does. I see. Would you like to order ice? One original, please. I once saw a waiter making coffee from an instant pack when I ordered ice at the cafe. That was the last time I ever ordered it. This establishment might have kept proper blends for ice orders, but there was no way of telling without asking them. I could have inquired about the difference between preparing ice and original blends, but that would have made it awkward if I decided to order something else. Would it? I feel like that's a very normal thing to ask. Like, hey, is it instant pack or is it like actually freshly made? And if it's instant pack, then just take something else. I don't think it's that weird. Most of my acquaintances might have considered me a person who voiced whatever was on her mind without reservation, but I actually took deliberate care to think things through before speaking up. One original, understood, the old man mumbled, almost as if he was talking to himself. Do you have any newspaper here? We do. It's behind the pot. He pointed at the potted plant on the side of the counter. I circled around it to find a well-hidden newspaper stand. It had several newspapers of various dates, with the newest one being on top. I randomly picked one up and returned to the counter. The bubbly sound of coffee being siphoned reached my ears as I opened the newspaper. Please tell me the date, if you would. I took a calm look at it in the corner of the page. It was a piece complaining about what some politician said or did. I flipped over to the economic section and read the article with a large picture attached. Then skimmed through a few more pages and... Here you are, the blend you have ordered. Thanks. I pushed the newspaper aside to let the old man place my cup of coffee on the counter. I picked up the cup with one hand, took a sip, and placed it back on the saucer. A plastic sheet covered the counter. There was a black and white picture of a steamboat on the other side of it. I also spotted the model of the Titanic further beyond the counter. I rolled up the newspaper. Is the port nearby? It's right outside the shopping district. I see. Thanks. Are you one of them tourists? Yeah, something like that, I guess. I came here to visit my friend, I added. Last I heard, a big ship could be heading this way soon. Oh yeah, we did... Didn't we hear about that at some point, of a steamship coming? I forgot if that was in Takako Land or if that was in Sachiko Land now. You can see countless ships in the port. I'm talking about a really huge thing like this model you got here. I pointed at the Titanic behind the counter. The whole man closed one of his eyes. Want to see a ship like that? Yeah, sure. An unusual wish coming from a young girl like you. Really? We've got planes these days. Only my old geezer friends ever talk about ships anymore. Hey, it's not like I'm an actual ship enthusiast or anything either. The man stepped out of the counter and picked up a tin hardcover book from the rack. From the rack where I got the newspaper earlier. From the rack where I got... Okay, I think this I should be removed. He placed it on the counter and opened it up on a color picture depicting a ship. There are as many types of ships as there are birds. The book had different ship models on each page, with articles on their history. A longboat with countless paddles sticking out of its walls like legs of a caterpillar, then a ship with a thick mast and a huge shell casting a shadow on its deck. A ship with a chimney on top, wisps of smoke rising from it towards the sky. The old man's wrinkled hands turned to one page after the other. Ships have evolved with time, much like everything else, always traveling for the most effective way to travel over water. Paddling eventually evolved into sails and wind power, which in turn paved the way for steam engines and eventually propellers. The model over there is a steamship, right? Yes, you don't see them much anymore. Really? Most of the passenger ships have diesel engines these days. Steamships went out of fashion over half a century ago. This 5-story floating hotel cruise is a diesel ship, for example. He pointed to one of the pictures in the book. It looks like a whole city floating on the water. We might not have castles in the sky just yet, but I guess we do have some on water. Crossing the ocean on water became impractical with the development of jet engines and the oil crisis following the war. Most of the passenger ships these days are cruises where being on the ship is the main attraction rather than reaching your destination. They have restaurants, bars, even movie theaters on board. I think I saw one of those on TV. This one with a chimney sticking out is a steamship. Like Titanic? That's the most famous steamship, I suppose. What is this conversation? It comes from a period right before the war, the very pinnacle of steamship history. Back in those days, they still made them with the intent to cross the ocean. Is this one with wheels also a steamship? I pointed at the picture of a ship with huge, funny-looking wheels. This one's called the Paddle Streamer, one of the earlier steamships. Perry's flagship, which came to Japan during the Perry expedition, was just like it. There are also some paddle steamers that have their turbines in the back, like this one. Okay, so every other character in the story is a fucking bird and tree expert. Like, they know every kind of bird and every kind of tree. And this guy at the coffee shop is a boat expert. He knows every kind of boat. Okay. He flipped the page. So ships with sail went out of fashion even before those. They served as the primary means of transport until the 19th century, when steamships were invented in Europe. Thank you, Wikipedia. He went a few pages back. As you can see, they utilize wind to propel themselves forward. They've been in use throughout the entirety of the age of exploration and have evolved in many ways in their own right. If you look carefully, you can notice that the position and shapes of the sails are different depending on the period and sometimes even the country in question. Oh my god, don't you have a shop to run? He showed me a page with lots of ship pictures on a world map. Is this a Santa Maria? You could say that in a way. It's a sailboat with 3 masts, which is the same model as the Santa Maria that Columbus used across the Atlantic Ocean. I give the steamship model behind the counter another look. After finishing my light meal, I took out some change from the pocket of my jacket that I hanged on the backrest of the chair. Thank you. It was my pleasure. Are you going to the port now? I don't know. I guess I'll think about it after I see how cold it is outside. I answered while sliding my hands into the sleeves of my jacket. Thanks for all the information, by the way. I had fun. I should be the one thanking you. I don't get many opportunities to talk to young women in this place at my age. Don't hesitate to pay our establishment another visit if you feel like it. I'll think about it. With that, I left the place and stepped out into the poorly lit shopping district. There were even more closed shutters now compared to when I entered the cafe. I thought about visiting the port, but then changed my mind and went straight to the hotel instead. Are we gonna go back to Sachiko, or... The shower, I hope it would help wake me up, felt like a tropical downpour, even after the slightest turn of the handle. I promptly washed my sweat off and wrapped myself in the towel. Or I guess, maybe Sachiko just left the hotel early, and this is why we're seeing this from Narasaki's POV right now. Because this isn't Sachiko imagining all of this. She really is experiencing all of this, but she's just seeing it as Narasaki. And she just left the hotel like a few days ago. Maybe. Freshly reinvigorated, I left the bathroom with steady steps and finished a can of beer I had left on the table. It tasted like warm, bitter water. As I closed my eyes and began wiping my hair with a towel resting on my shoulders, a blue light slowly extended along the inner side of my eyelids. Have a good day. A blue light extended from... What did you say? Please? Please let me... Okay. A blue light... Okay, I guess you're talking about... Okay, never mind. A cold gust of wind rattled the collar of my coat as I stepped out of the hotel. I left the still fairly deserted shopping district and continued down to a barber shop I saw by the park. A young woman with glasses seemed to be in the process of opening the shutters and setting up the signboard of the establishment. Our eyes met. Good morning. The woman made a curt bow. Are you open? Yes, just a moment ago. You come inside. Are you going to get your hair cut short? Are you going to look like Mariko? She opened the glass door with a tall Pachira house plant right next to it and urged me inside. Of course you know what type of plant that is. There's only a single chair in a classical western interior. I can hang your coat for you. I took off my jacket and handed it to her. As soon as I seated myself in the chair, she spun it so that I'd be facing the mirror. What would you like? I slipped my arms through the sheet, protecting me from stray locks of hair while she fiddled with the chair to raise me up. Just a regular haircut and some shampooing as well. Okay, what kind of haircut would you like? Do you wish to consult our catalog? No, I'm fine with what I have. Just make it a few centimeters shorter. I pointed at the length I wanted my hair to be. Understood. I'll undo your hair then. I'll undo your hair. So she had her hair tied up. Like Narasaki does. Not like Sachiko, who usually just has her hair like straight and like not tied or anything. I nodded and she removed my hair clip and placed it on the cabinet. I felt my head being pulled backward as she brushed my hair. I closed my eyes and inhaled the breath. However, I was suddenly pulled out of my slumber by the chirping of some bird. I opened my eyes and looked at the mirror to see a birdcage by the register, with a red parrot cocking its head within. Of course you know what kind of fucking parrot that is. The barber sprinkled and brushed my hair with experienced motion. She was about to place the scissor against my head when her eyes met in the mirror. She made a few exaggerated blinks like a character from some western cartoon. Is this how long you would like it? Yeah, that's about right. The narrow room held a register, a sofa, a chair, and a mirror for cutting hair, a cabinet with the usual barber item inside, and an indoor plant. Glancing around, I also spotted a small old TV to my right, near the ceiling. I could see the reflection of my face on its dark screen. Could you please not move your head? Oh, sorry. Would you like me to turn on the TV? As you can see, it's pretty old, so I can't vouch for the quality of the screen. But that's okay, I don't really want to watch TV. I heard a sharp, slicing sound, after which a lock of my hair fell into my knees. You have nice hair. You think so? I think they just always say that. I think they say that to everyone. You must spend a lot of time maintaining it. I could feel the sheet on my shoulders getting heavier as my hair gradually pulled up on it, with each new slice from the barber's scissors. Do you come from the city? You can tell? I can more or less tell from the way you're dressed. That coat was brand new, wasn't it? And it's from a minor brand too. You won't find things like that around here. You're probably right. They said something along those lines in the store, I think. You're pretty knowledgeable about these things, aren't you? You could say it's a hobby of mine. Oh, do you work alone in this shop? Yes. I used to work at Arajuku. Whoa, isn't that like the hotbed of the industry? The barber let out an embarrassed laugh. Well, things have changed. At one point, we had a barber boom of sorts and accepted lots of jobs. But most people these days seem to prefer cheaper options located closer to their homes. As you might imagine, the whole thing kind of faded out over time. Now you're back here in the countryside? Yes, but I'm glad I made that choice. I get customers just because I have a reputation of having worked in the big city. I saved up some money during those days, so I had no problem establishing my own shop over here. Yep, that sounds pretty nice. Where are you from? I'm from Kyushu, actually. I see. I've never been there myself. My hometown is famous for its hot springs. Oh, that sounds nice. We also had a port not unlike the one in this town. Fascinating stuff. After leaving the barber shop, I looked around the shopping district, buying a few things here and there, then boarded my car to drive back to the clinic. The port town, visibly beyond the trees covering the mountain, grew small and smaller in the distance as I continued down the unpaved road. My car shook with every hole I drove over. I stopped by the observation platform I spotted next to the road. I took my can of coffee, climbed onto the platform, and took a quick sip after sitting down on the bench there. I could see the entire port town. I took another sip while observing its architecture from the distance. Does this make sense? Isn't this the view we saw of the town from the mansion? Are you back at the mansion? I let out a breath and gave the scenery another scrutinizing look. It was made better than I'd expected. I couldn't spot any disparities between it and the road I took to Fujisaka Mansion. There was not a single detail wrong with the town either. The shopping district's arc and the sudden breakwater just outside it by the ferry boarding platform looked suspiciously like my hometown. Suspiciously. A certain phrase popped into my mind as I compared the two sides. A world slowly dying to preserve her life. Sachiko said that Tako's imagination exceeded hers by a wide margin. However, I didn't feel that was true. I didn't know the extent of Tako's world, but I simply couldn't imagine it being even more detailed than this. This world could extend indefinitely, like a sponge constantly absorbing all sorts of different values and thoughts without discrimination. Okay, so you're saying that this is Tako's imagination. And that meant I could finish my job here without worries. I took out a few pieces of paper from my jacket's pocket. The way to the clinic was scrawled on one of them. I wrote that one down before coming here. The others were pages of a diary. Her memories I had to preserve. I imagined Sachiko sitting on the stool in the lobby. Wait, you're imagining her sitting in the lobby? Not the other way around? I saw a mansion through the leaves covering the mountain road. Upon reaching the black iron fence, I passed through the red brick gates. There was a sign reading, Kunugihara Sanatorium. I parked my car by the mansion and turned off the engine. Okay. I stepped out of the car and continued towards the entrance. Okay, this is getting trippy. The mansion was built of grey and red bricks, its windows and doors boasting sturdy wooden frames. It looked very much like the mansion Sachiko stayed at. yeah, but in terms of design, it was an even older structure. Okay, so this is the sanatorium. Its front doors were open. I could see the lobby and the counter from outside. I pressed the call bell on the counter. A stringent sound reverberated across the lobby, but I received no reply. Is nobody here? Someone glanced at me through the door window on the other end of the lobby. After our eyes met, the person disappeared. I hurried to the door. Didn't snow here. I opened it to find myself in the inner yard of the building. There was a tall camphor tree in the middle. I spotted the back of a woman with braided hair moving towards the west wing. A woman with braided hair. Oh, are you a guest? Hearing a voice from above made me turn around. When I did, I saw a woman in a nurse outfit looking at me through the guardrail on the building's roof. I'm sorry. I rang your bell but no one came, so... My apologies. I'll be done in a minute. She let go of the guardrails and disappeared, but then her head popped up again. You can wait in the lobby. Alright. I returned to the lobby and checked the clock. It seemed to be around noon, in winter. The glass panel covering its pendulum reflected my face. I fiddled with my bangs for a while. When I straightened my back, I felt a sharp pain in my neck. When I slid my hand underneath my scarf, I found a piece of hair sticking to my neck. Hello. Sorry that I kept you waiting. The young woman in the nurse outfit appeared in the lobby. Hello. Hello. I'm Koma Mayuko. Okay, I think that's the first time we've got her last name. Koma Mayuko. I work here as a nurse. I'm Narasaki Hibiki. What brings you here? I came to visit a patient. Just one moment. The nurse, calling herself Mayuko, moved behind the counter and took out a form and a pen from the drawer. Please fill this out. The paper she placed on the counter had columns made for time periods and patient names. I placed the person I brought on my way here on the counter, then took the pen from her and filled out the form with the information she wanted. Mayuko took my form and ran her eyes through it. Are you a friend or a family member? No, I was merely asked to check on her by a mutual acquaintance. And this is just a little something I brought. I lifted the paper bag I placed on the counter. I see. Mayuko returned the form to his drawer and moved out of the counter. Follow me. I'll show you to her room. She passed by me and continued up the spiral staircase. The walls along the stairway were lined up with small paintings. I peeked through a window in our way and spotted a camphor tree in the inner yard. Mayuko still glanced at me, probably curious as to why I was looking around so much. You have a pretty scenic place here. I made up something on the spot. It used to be the mansion of a rich family before being turned into a sanatorium. It was almost identical to the Fujisaka mansion Sachiko stayed at. Almost? Mayuko stopped in front of one of the rooms and knocked on the door. A dull wooden sound reverberated in the hallway. Takako, you have a visitor. Mayuko then seized the doorknob and opened the door. It wasn't locked apparently. I'm coming in. I followed her into the room. Oh, the window's open. The room itself was surprisingly empty. Wait. Is this layout wrong? I feel like when we see Takako's room from Takako's POV, isn't the window here? I'm pretty sure when we saw it, the window wasn't in front of the bed. It wasn't to the side of the bed like this. The room itself was surprisingly empty. It only had a bed and a single shelf. Takako didn't seem to be around though. Ah, she forgot to close the window again. Mayuko mumbled as she closed the window. Maybe that I just imagined the window being there because of the way we looked at it, but it was always there. I don't know. It doesn't look like she's around. Yes. Can I wait here? Of course, but we have other patients here, so I would kindly ask you not to bother outside if possible. Don't worry, I'll read a book or something. Mayuko began walking to the door. I'll tell her you're here if I manage to find her. I nodded. You should be able to find me in the lobby or the inner yard if there's anything you need. The door opposite the entrance leads to it. I'll keep that in mind. I'll be on my way then. Mayuko smiled and left the room. Left alone, I slowly surveyed my surroundings. It really was an empty room. I glanced at the shelf and spotted something shining on it. Upon approaching the shelf, I realized there were colored glass beads reflecting the light of the evening sun. Oh, so you did go to the beach, right? I shifted my gaze to the rest of the shelf. It was filled with books and notebooks. The notebooks were probably Takako's diaries. I got curious about what they might contain, but considering how awkward it would have been if Takako came back as I was reading one, I decided against touching them for now. Sitting down in the bed, I looked out the window, specifically at the sky above the port. The clock in the lobby pointed at around the children's napping time. Purple and pink colors extended and merged on the sky, giving it the feel of a watercolor canvas. I placed my hands between my legs and joined my fingers. If I get any more comfortable, I feared I might fall asleep. It was a heavy and unforgiving sleepiness. I would most likely have lost consciousness if I so much as closed my eyes. My fingers slipped out of each other's grasp. The sunlight passed through my fingers as if they were transparent. Just as I pressed my fingers against my eyelids to massage them for a few moments, I heard the sound of the door opening behind me. When I turned around, I saw the door being partially open with a sliver of the corridor visible through the gap. No one was there. Still, with no sense of any human presence, the door closed. Uh-oh. Spooky. The floor let out a creak. The crease continued to the shelf and stopped. I rubbed my eyes again, but all I could see was the wall. And while I looked at the remnants of dust floating in the air, the bed let out a creak next. I blinked a few times and felt like I could almost glimpse Sachiko for a moment. Perhaps she had returned to her room in the Fujisaka mansion and lain down on the bed just now. Sure. The sound disappeared when I started thinking about her. After a few moments, a gust of cold wind made my hair flutter. Despite the window being closed, the incoming breeze carried a certain humidity, as well as the scent of soil. Yet I was more than familiar with the source and nature of that wind. It came straight from my heart, calling out to me. I ignored it, and soon enough it began to wane and eventually vanished. However, I still managed to remind me of the cave I got lost in back when I was looking for Sachiko. I found myself unnerved and unable to relax anymore. I stood up and decided to leave the room for now. She told you not to leave. The rays of the setting sun passed through the crown of the large tree in the inner yard, filling the corridor with a dim orange light. The chilly air was exposed to in the room and gave way for the scent of old wood, with remnants of warm dust floating in the air. I found the rest area right away and sat down in one of the chairs. Is it the ghost chair? I could still see Tako's door from here. After spending some time reading, I spotted something move from the corner of my eye. Someone was walking down the opposing corridor I could see from the window. That person continued towards my location, their tied-up hair fluttering in the air. I waited for them to come while pretending to read. Eventually, a tall woman appeared on the other end of the corridor. She gave me a suspicious sidelong glance as he carefully tried to pass by me. Hello, I said in greeting. She had no choice but to stop. I'm looking for Takako. You wouldn't know her, would you? As I closed my book, she faced me with a bold look in her eyes. Rather than being wary of a sudden guest, she appeared curious, if anything. She was quite tall for a woman, boasting a height that would easily put her in the same league as professional sportswomen or models. Really? Her facial features are yet to fully mature. I could easily recognize her as the same person I'd seen during my kindergarten days. She was carrying a plastic bag in one hand, no doubt having just returned from buying groceries. That's me. I see. My name is Narasaki. Actually, it's not the first time we've met, but I can see you don't remember me. I stood up from the chair. I could immediately tell she didn't recognize me. Well, it doesn't matter. I came to talk to you about the unusual illness you have. My illness? Tako shifted the plastic bag to her other hand and crossed her arms. I heard something akin to stones rustling inside it. Did you go to pick up stones at the beach? I guess I'm not particularly busy. I nodded. That's right. I brought you something from the town. Do you like sweets? I handed her the paper bag with a confectionery box. Thanks. Of course I like sweets. That's good to hear. To tell the truth, Sachiko had once told me Takako is a big fan of sweet bean paste, especially enclosed in something crisp. You know, like wafers in the case of monaka. It's been a while since I came here, but it's my first time getting an actual visitor. It feels surprisingly nice. Is it going to be a long story? She asked. That depends. I feel like it is. In that case, let's go somewhere else. I can't even serve you tea here. Tako started down the corridor. I followed her, but we ended up passing by her door and continued down the stairs. Isn't your room over there? My room doesn't have a chair. I see. Did Mayako show you inside? What was she even thinking, making you wait in a place like that? She jokingly remarked. The night duty room is a Japanese-style room, so we can sit on the floor. There's also tea and snacks. You're just gonna fucking sneak into Mayako's room? Tako's twin tails fluttered in the air with each of her steps. You seem to be doing alright. I am. I mean, it's not the kind of illness that affects my physical health, is it? Just wish it didn't mess with my head so I could remember you at least. Don't worry about it. It's been a long time. If you say so. How many patients are in this sanatorium? Like, 3. Only 4 people live here, including me. That's fewer than I thought. Hey, isn't that a good thing? I suppose it is. Did you come here by car? Tako changed the subject. Yeah, it wasn't easy to drive up that mountain road. Right? People don't usually come so far out in the mountains. You don't get bored here? It's true that I don't get many chances to go outside, but it's not as bad as it sounds. There might be a few people here, but there's a lot to do. Michael makes sure to find an odd job for me every day. That sounds miserable. Is she strict with you? Not at all. She even said that half of her was made of pure kindness, actually. Sounds like headache medicine. She said she found out through a blood test. Science sure seems to have advanced in recent times. Tako chuckled as I said that. Okay, so Takako, I'm sorry to tell you, but you are dead. As soon as we entered the night duty room, Takako turned on the heater. picked up 2 pillows lying next to it and placed them at both ends of the small dining table. She dropped her bag on the table and promptly disappeared into the kitchen. I sat on the pillow facing the kitchen and waited for her to make the tea. There was something shining in her bag. I stole a brief glance at its contents, finding a bunch of glass beads. The little translucent stones sparkled in the evening sun. Sorry to have kept you waiting. Taco placed a cup of tea and some snacks in front of me. Thanks. Now we can take our time. What's up with this bag? I pointed at the beads of glass in the bag. Oh, that's sea glass. Didn't you know? The beach is full of them. I was right. She did go to the beach to pick up some of them. They're beautiful. Right? I was thinking of decorating my shelf with them. Want to take a look? She cheerfully pulled one glass bead out of the bag and handed it to me. Please don't. Please just get to the main subject. It was pink in color and had the consistency of stone. Don't know how much longer I'll be able to find them at the beach, though. I hear they're planning to build a factory there or something. I've heard about that from the people in town. They want to enlarge the port so large freighters could access it, right? Takako nodded. The old guy that told me about it belongs to the fishing union. Says he's gonna live off the compensation he'll get for having to quit his business over this. W. I wonder if a mere compensation will be enough to last him a lifetime. I feel it'd be better for him to simply move to other fishing grounds or something. Apparently, another union is using nets to fish for octopuses and prawns, and they don't want to make their area any smaller than it already is. Can't they fish together? He said it's impossible to fish where the nets are already set. There's this thing called right of demarcated fishery that separates who can fish with whom or whatever. I see. I wonder if there's really nothing you can do. I mean, get compensation from the big company and don't have to work a day for the rest of your life? Seems like a pretty good deal. It's only natural for cities to evolve in modern times, and sometimes you cannot avoid making sacrifices in order to achieve that. You can't fight the times, huh? said Takako, closing her eyes and nodding 3 times. I took a sip of her green tea. It had a very nice smell. The monoka I brought rested on a small plate in the middle of the table. Takako was busy chewing on one. This is good. Where'd you buy them? Can you please just talk about the main subject? Please, please, please. I need this. I don't remember the exact name, but it was some confectionery over at the shopping district of the port town. Oh, I think I know which one. It's the shopping district that cable cars descend to, right? I think so, yes. Maybe I should ask Mariko to buy me some next time. Takako finished her cup and filled it up with another serving of tea right away. You said you had something to tell me about my illness. Are you a doctor, perhaps? More or less. More or less? I'm investigating the illness you have. What are you investigating exactly? Everything. From the symptoms and the cause to the treatment. And that's why you came here? Well, there's no other treatment facility for this illness in the country. Takako widened her eyes in surprise. I didn't know. Is that true? I nodded. Your system for managing the symptoms is currently functioning very well, so imagine the staff here finds no reason to explain the details to the patients. Takako seemed to freeze up in thought, but I continued talking. It's a very unusual disease. How much do you know about it? I lose a part of my memories after my ears start ringing, that's all I know. Takako gave me an anxious look as I considered where I should start from. You're right about the relationship of those 2 symptoms. Oh my god, this is gonna be some bullshit. Oh my god, I'm ready. Just hit me with it. This is gonna be some bullshit. However, you seem to have the order backwards. Your ears start ringing after you lose your memories. It's an automatic panic response to a traumatic event, which in this case is memory loss. Do you know anything about the other symptoms? No. Is there anything else? It's unusual for it to happen, but there are cases when symptoms suddenly start to advance at a rapid pace. In your case, you only forget short episodes from your life, and it doesn't happen so often. So if you're smart about it, you can use notes and such to refresh your memory. But during a rapid memory loss episode, you lose your memories too fast to keep up. What happens when you lose everything? The patient forgets who he or she was completely. Takako knitted her brows. That only happens to select few patients though, so don't worry too much. Well, you said that this is the only place in the country that treats this illness, and there's 3 people here, so a select few patient, like, what does that even mean? Like 1 person? 2 person? Can I ask something weird? What is it? Can patients that lose all their memories just end up disappearing altogether, like a wisp of smoke? Is this some urban legend? The person who was here for longer than me said they heard something like that. I curled the corner of my lips into a smile. That sounds like a magic trick. Yeah, Takako answered, making a faint smile herself. I almost thought you and Sunny were trying to pull one on me. I shook my head. I don't know anyone by that name. Takako took a bite from the monoka she still had in her hand. However, losing your identity might not be that different from turning into smoke in this world. Wait, what? Wait. That sounds like a magic trick. This is Narasaki saying this. Yeah, Takako answered. Then Narasaki says, I almost thought you and Sunny were trying to pull one on me? Or does Takako say 2 lines in a row here? I shook my head. I don't know anyone by that name. No, this has to be Takako says 2 lines in a row, and then Narasaki says this. Okay. However, losing your identity might not be that different from turning into smoke in this world. Tako's features twisted in slight confusion as she continued chewing on the wafers. She had a truly rich palette of expression, changing from cheerful to scared and confused in a matter of seconds. I had been fighting the urge to chuckle for a while now. It's a rare disease that we still don't know too much about, and that gives birth to rumors. As someone afflicted, don't you want to know more about it? Is there more? Tako asked as she gulped down the Monica. I placed my empty cup on the table and stood up. I'd like to show you something. I looked back as I exited the night duty room. This is Takako following me. I used to work at this place a long time ago. Really? She made a pause and added, did Mayako know that? I shook my head. No, she didn't work here when I was still around. I imagine she got hired sometime afterwards. I continued down the corridor until we reached the furthest door on the first floor. In place of a sign, there was only an empty space. It didn't seem like the room saw much use anymore. I fished out a keyring from my pocket and stuck one of the keys into the lock. The key made an audible clicking sound as I turned it. I forgot to return the key when I left. I explained to the puzzled Takako. Fuck you. I stepped through the door and into the familiar consultation room. I was a little worried considering all the changes the building underwent over the years, but it looks like my room remained more or less unchanged. Everything from my desk and bed to the chair had been left untouched. Even my favorite coffee cup was still there. So are we saying that when we saw Sachiko go to the clinic, in reality she was just entering her mind palace and going to the clinic room inside of her mind palace and talking to Narasaki inside of there? Because I'm going to be a little mad if that's the answer. Because we literally had a scene where she walked out of the clinic and walked to the office and like on the street. Like, what did it look like from other people's POV? Was she just like fucking tweaking out in the middle of the street, like imagining herself in a clinic? Even my favorite coffee cup was still there. I couldn't spot any desk covering anything. All the medical records were still lying on the desk as I left them. It felt almost like the room was still in use. I entered with Takako following closely behind. Is this their old consultation room? Yep. You don't seem to have a doctor here right now, but in the past this was where we performed the examinations and such. Takako looked around the room. I picked up one of the medical records while she investigated my shelf. Upon closer inspection, I realized that most of the pages were torn out. I turned to Takako. Takako had gone further into the room and was now looking into a silver bucket on the floor. It was filled to the brim with grey ash. Did someone have a bonfire here? I wonder. Okay, that's ominous. I took out the necessary records from the shelf, lined them on the desk, and sat down. These are the records of the symptoms we discussed. I logged everything I found out over the few years I worked with patients here. A bunch of medical records in German, diary notebooks, and pictures lay scattered on the desk for Takako to see. You've got pictures. I took them hoping they would help me fight the memory loss. I also have tapes with recorded conversations. However, they didn't do much good in the end, as people are rarely conscious of their looks or voice and don't usually associate them with memories. Here it is. See, I'm in this one too. I took out one of the pictures from the file and handed it to Takako. You look just like you do now. I smiled. Takako looked over other pictures in the medical record. All of them were black and white, faded with age. In some of them, I couldn't even recognize the patients anymore. What is this one of? Takako showed me one of the pictures. Oh, that's foreign, Ben. I depicted the empty corner of your room. It's nothing. Okay, said Takako with a shrug. Okay. I don't know anyone from these records. Where have they gone? I only know about things up to when I left. They either got cured or... I'm sure they all got cured. What? I don't get it. I hope so. I checked to see if there was anything else on the shelf of my desk and sat down. Following my cue, Takako sat down herself. Why did you leave, Miss Narasaki? The approach of how we were supposed to deal with this illness changed. From a research institute, we turned into a sanatorium that prioritized looking after patients rather than investigating and trying to treat their disease. I had the choice to stay behind, but the symptoms became much easier to manage once we implemented the notebook diary approach. Is this not all in Sachiko's mind? I figured I could be of more use elsewhere. Because so far, I've just assumed like the sanatorium is all in Sachiko's mind, and this is all just like a metaphor. But how can this... What kind of metaphor is this? What other people are you treating inside of your own mind? You're still writing diaries, right? Takako nodded. Why did the approach change? It was a matter of money. We never got enough funds and most doctors came to research the illness pretty much on a volunteer basis. But the establishment couldn't last long like that, so it slowly started to turn into the self-sufficient colony you have now. I guess the patients didn't used to work here in the past? They didn't. That sounds nice. She placed the picture she held back on the desk. She looked around the room again. So you're researching this illness in this room, right? I've been wondering about it for a while now, but why do people forget things to begin with? It's only natural to forget things to forget this and that sometimes. I know that, but I've read in a book that there's enough space in the human brain to store all information without forgetting anything, so I was wondering why it still happened. Yeah, the most prevalent theory states that all information does get stored in your brain and never really disappears for good. You just don't remember it. So how does that work and why? There are many theories on this subject. Please tell me, Narasaki. For example, it might not be the passage of time that makes you forget things, but rather the act of forgetting actually makes you conscious of the passage of time. The act of forgetting makes you conscious of the passage of time. I don't know about that. Besides, there might be lots of space in your brain, but there's only so much you can think about at a given time, right? Being able to remember everything all the time might prevent your head from functioning properly. Like, if I ask you what you had for dinner, and then that evoked an image of every single dinner you've ever had in your life, they'd be pretty confusing, right? I guess so. Imagine that would also negate the feeling of wanting to eat something you haven't had in ages. Yeah, that about covers it. Okay. Taco pressed a finger against her lower lip. I shoved the hand in my pocket, realizing I still had the glass beads she handed me earlier. I assume you can now accept that I've been researching this subject for a while now. Taco removed her finger from her lips and looked at me as though having suddenly realized something. Yeah, and you said you wanted to tell me something about my illness. Yeah, like 30 minutes ago. To tell the truth, I came here to ask you for 2 favors. Favors? What do you mean? I want to try something on you. Please not hypnosis. If it goes well, you might get cured. As long as it doesn't have anything to do with needles. Don't worry, it doesn't. It just needs a little dedication on your part, that's all. So what do I need to do? I just want to confirm one thing before we begin. Did you get my parcel? Huh? There had to be a parcel addressed to you. A hint of recognition lit up in Tako's eyes. Are you talking about the notebook? Did you send it to me? Yes, that's the one. So you got it. Did you write it? She carefully asked. I shook my head. I know you have questions, but I myself have no idea who wrote that. I just found it at the library. What do you mean you have no idea who wrote that? Tako, having unconsciously risen from her chair in the meantime, sank back into it. I see you've already read it. It was full of episodes from Sachiko's life and my own, things that only the two of us would know. Did it pique your curiosity? Of course. Do you really not know anything about it? I really don't. I just found it. I tried looking for the person it belonged to, but I couldn't find anything. I'm sorry. It didn't seem like she was ready to give up, though. Silence descended on the consultation room for a while. Is there anything else you want to know? I asked. Then why did you send it to me? She asked after a short pause. When I gave the diary a look, I realized it contained a lot of information about you. I figured it might help you with your memories. Tako let out a sigh. I want to know exactly what it helped you remember. Tako was about to say something, but closed her mouth as she heard that. She then focused her eyes on something in the air in front of her. It was full of really old stories, so it helped me remember a lot. It was a really nostalgic read, I guess. What about this Sachiko, who seems to be narrating everything? She's my childhood friend and the most important person in my life. To tell you the truth, I think I had forgotten how much she meant to me before I read that. I see. She seems to have completely lost her high spirits. I didn't know whether that was because she felt disappointed I didn't lead her to Sachiko, or because she was feeling guilty for having forgotten her. Perhaps it was both. I'm sorry for asking prying questions. It's okay. I really appreciate you sending that notebook to me. I was relieved to learn that she understood its contents like she was supposed to. It didn't seem like I needed to hesitate any further. So what did you want to ask from me? What do I need to do? I want you to treat that notebook with care and reread it from time to time. That's all? Yeah. Not too hard, is it? Well then, I began tidying up the records scattered on the desk. Tako tried to help, but being unable to do— You had 2 things you wanted her to do. But being unable to do much without knowing which files of paper and pictures belonged to, she soon gave up. Those weren't the tidiest records in the world to begin with, so it didn't take that long to throw them together by myself in any case. Tako gazed absentmindedly at my hands while I stuffed a medical record previously resting on the edge of the desk into my bag. It's just an old thing of mine. I accidentally left a couple of them here, I explained as I zipped up the bag. After we left the consultation room, I locked the door behind us. I won't need this anymore, so will you return them for me? I took out the bundle of keys and handed them to Takako. Should I give them to Maiko? Yeah. Is that your other favor? Yep. Okay. Takako gave the bundle of keys a long, hard look. Are you leaving already? I've got some other business to take care of. I'll leave after looking around this place for a bit. Want me to show you around? That's nice of you, but I want to do it alone and at my pace if possible. If you say so. Well then, I wished Takako goodbye and left her behind in the corridor. I don't know. Is the illness real, but the sanatorium isn't? Is that what's going on? Because the story Narasaki said about the illness seemed way too specific to be some sort of metaphor, or to be something that Sachiko made up in her mind. I guess that's what I'm going with. I spent some time investigating the sanatorium after speaking from Takako. The nurse told me not to loiter around too much, so I decided not to go upstairs from the room I'd been shown to. At a closer look, the interior of this place slightly differed from the Fujisaka mansions. Wood had a big camphor tree in the middle of the inner yard, though. I could see a roof in the distance through the branches. I left the building through the back door in the lobby and continued down the usual stone path to the library. However, the door was locked, and I'd already handed my keys to Takako. Oops. Well, it wasn't like either Kozue or Lily would be here at any rate. Does she know? I found the nurse working at the flower bed as I returned to the inner yard. It probably would have been awkward if she spotted me as I tried to inconspicuously pass by her, so I figured I might as well initiate a conversation myself. Oh, she turned to me. Reusing CGs. Shake my head. Have you met with Takako? Yeah. That's good. What are you doing here? I expected she'd ask that. I saw a roof in the distance from the second floor and got curious. Ah, the library. It's closed right now. I see. It's open during weekends and on holidays. You're more than welcome to drop by later, if you want to see it from the inside. If I get the chance. The nurse Takako had called Mariko made a gentle smile. Her breasts were larger than the originals, but among all the people I met here, she undoubtedly resembled Sachiko the most. Okay. Though her social anxiety made Sachiko so little emotion on her face, she was actually a very gentle person at heart. Those who understood that would have a hard time telling those two apart. Is something the matter? Mariko asked. I just thought those flowers were pretty colorful for the season. Those are called primroses. They're winter flowers. I've never heard that name before. Is growing flowers a hobby of yours? Not really. The people at the flower shop recommended these after I told them I was looking for something colorful and easy to grow. I mean, it's kind of sad to see empty flower beds in winter, wouldn't you agree? You have a point there. Takako helped me plant these. Mariko pointed at the flower beds that Takako likely helped her with. What do you mean likely? She just said she helped her with them. I see. What are your plans for the summer, though? I'll plant other flowers. I was considering the morning glories this time around. Oh, that's a nostalgic name. I used to grow them back in school. Mariko smiled. Takako said something like that too. They always remind a person of school. Yeah. Speaking of which, Takako told me a lot about you too, I said, changing the subject. Nothing too strange though, I hope. She told me you gave her a massage. No, nothing bad. She was simply telling me about her friends here. I'm glad to hear that. Did she not say anything about Kozue? Because earlier you thought Kozue wouldn't be here. The nurse made an exaggerated sigh and stood up while brushing some of the sweat off her forehead. After a bit of small talk, I realized that the sky had begun glowing orange in color. Right, I promised to make a call around this time. A call? I'm sorry, but could you let me use the phone in the lobby? You can use the one in the office. The phone we have in the lobby needs coins to operate. That's okay. It won't take long anyway. Then feel free to use whichever phone you like. Thanks. I'll go make that call now. Okay. Take care. I started towards the door leading back into the building. Before entering, I saw a final glance at Mariko and saw her waving me goodbye. I checked the clock as I returned to the lobby. It was 6 o'clock. Better call Sachiko. I picked up the receiver and fished out a few coins from my pocket. I placed them at the phone, leaving only one in my hand. I put it into the slot on the phone and rotated the dial. Pressing the receiver against my ear, I listened to the beeping sound, waiting for Sachiko to pick up. Moshi moshi? Oh, okay, that's it. Oh, that was chapter 8. Okay. Chapter 9, Return. Am I close to the end of this game? I feel like I am. Is that the Sanae? That doesn't look like Is that Sanae or Sachiko? I guess it is Sachiko. Okay, I thought that was Sanae, but okay. I mean, yeah, I still have about 1 million questions. I guess right now it seems like the sanatorium is in Sachiko's mind, and Sachiko really does have an illness, like in real life, that makes her forget memories and makes her ears ring. And I guess maybe she really did come to this mansion as a sanatorium in the past. Because Lily did say that the mansion, the hotel, was used as a mental asylum in the past. So maybe Sachiko did come here when she was younger. And that's why she had like an image of this place in her mind, even before she came here as a hotel, when it was a hotel. And I would also explain like why Narasaki like had such a detailed description of the illness, and like how like the treatment changed because of money and all that. So I guess it does. I mean, that is an answer. I still have a lot of questions though. I'm not sure they're all going to be answered. Because every single scene where we've seen the sun, it's been rising in the east and setting in the west. So I don't know why Narasaki even said that thing about the sun. Like, the way she said it, I feel like it was supposed to be a hint or something. But every single scene with the setting sun, I've like paid attention to that. Every single scene, it seems like the sun is just rising in the east and setting in the west like it's supposed to. I don't know. Hopefully we get some more answers next time. Hopefully we learn what Sanae's deal is, and what Inukai's deal is, what Fumi's deal is. What's the librarian's plan? Is she gonna come back? Oh, what about An? You guys remember An? What was her name? Annalise? Sawatari Annalise? What about her? Is she ever gonna be relevant? Okay, anyway, yeah, I'm done for now. Alright, see you next time.